Do you ever feel like you're going through some kind of secret transformation that nobody really talks about? Like one day you're fine, and the next you're wondering if you accidentally swapped brains with someone who forgot to sleep and is perpetually sweating.
Oh, Claire, you are definitely not alone, and you've just hit on the exact reason we created this podcast.
Welcome to MenoMindful, the place where we finally lift the veil on perimenopause and menopause. I'm Claire Rivers, your co-host, and as a 49-year-old journalist currently navigating this whole thing, I'm here to ask all the questions you might be too afraid to.
And I'm Dr. Hart, an integrative OB-GYN. My goal is to blend evidence-based medicine with mind-body practices to really empower you. Together, we're going to explore this journey with honesty, empathy, and yes, a little bit of humor too. So let's get mindful about Meno, shall we? So Claire, you perfectly encapsulated that feeling of a secret transformation in our intro. And that really brings us to our first big topic. What exactly is this transformation? What are perimenopause and menopause? Truly, because honestly, for so many women, it's this vague, scary, and often just very misunderstood word.
Yeah, it's like suddenly you hear menopause and you picture a certain age, a certain set of symptoms, and that's kind of it. My understanding before diving into all of this was, well, pretty limited, to be honest. It felt like something that just happened to you, not a journey with distinct stages.
You're absolutely right. And that's such a common misconception. Let's really break it down. First, there's perimenopause. Think of peri as around or near. So perimenopause literally means around menopause. This is the transitional phase, the journey to menopause. It's when your ovaries gradually start to, wind down their reproductive function.
So it's not like a light switch then, more like a dimmer.
Precisely, a very, very unpredictable dimmer switch at that. During perimenopause, your hormone levels, especially estrogen, become really erratic. They can fluctuate wildly, sometimes super high, sometimes super low. This is often where women experience the most disruptive symptoms because their bodies are constantly trying to adjust to these unpredictable shifts. And it can begin, believe it or not, as early as your late 30s, though more commonly in your 40s. It can last anywhere from a few years to a decade or even longer for some women.
Wait, late 30s? Seriously? I always thought this was like a 50s thing, maybe late 40s at the absolute earliest. That's one myth busted right there, for sure.
Absolutely. And that's why many women in their late 30s or early 40s are dismissed when they complain of symptoms, because the common understanding is that they're too young. So that fluctuating period, the perimenopause, can feel very destabilizing. Then we have menopause itself. Menopause technically is a single point in time. It's diagnosed retrospectively when you've gone 12 consecutive months without a menstrual period. That's it. 1 full year. After that, you are considered postmenopausal. So perimenopause is the journey to menopause, and postmenopause is everything after that 12-month mark.
Okay, that distinction is so important. So many people just lump it all together. So what about the common myths then? Beyond the age thing, what else do we commonly get wrong about this whole phase of life?
Oh, there are so many, Claire. Where do we even begin? One huge myth is that it's just about hot flashes. While hot flashes are certainly a hallmark symptom for many, they are far from the only one. We're talking brain fog, joint pain, heart palpitations, anxiety, depression, sleep disturbances, vaginal dryness, changes in body composition. The list goes on and on. It impacts virtually every system in your body.
I can personally vouch for the brain fog. It's like my brain sometimes just takes a vacation without telling me. My husband thinks I'm just not listening, but really, it's like the words just float away.
Exactly. And that leads to another myth, that it's solely about reproductive changes or that it's the end of femininity. It's not. It's a natural biological transition like puberty, and it doesn't diminish your value or your womanhood. It's simply a shift in your hormonal landscape. It's also not a disease or an illness to be cured, though the symptoms can certainly feel like an illness. And then there's the idea that your sex life just, poof, disappears. Not true. While there can be physical changes that impact intimacy, like vaginal dryness, these are often manageable, and many women find new ways to connect with their partners, or even experience a renewed sense of liberation in their sexuality post-menopause.
That's so empowering to hear because I think a lot of the narrative around menopause has been very negative, almost like a decline.
Precisely. And that negativity, that lack of accurate information, contributes to the problem we mentioned at the very top. Why up to 80% of women experience significant life-disrupting symptoms, and why there's such a pervasive lack of understanding. It's partly due to those fluctuating hormones in perimenopause. Your body is trying to find its new normal. It's like being on a roller coaster every day. For some women, this transition is relatively smooth. But for the majority, these shifts really do impact their daily lives, their relationships, their careers, their mental health. And it's compounded by the fact that many healthcare providers, quite frankly, aren't adequately trained in menopausal health. Studies have shown this over and over. So women aren't getting the answers or the support they need.
So they go to their doctor with these seemingly disparate symptoms, suddenly anxious, can't sleep, joint pain, and they're treated for each symptom individually rather than seeing it as a holistic picture of hormonal transition. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, Claire. They might be given anxiety medication or told their joint pain is just getting older, or even that their heavy periods are just normal without connecting it to the larger context of perimenopause. It's like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing. This leads to misdiagnosis, frustration, and women feeling unheard and alone. There's also still a societal taboo around discussing menopause openly. It's often whispered about or joked about in a dismissive way, rather than being treated as a significant life stage that deserves serious attention and support. And that silence, frankly, does a disservice to millions of women. It leaves them feeling isolated in what should be a shared and understood experience.
It really does. It's like we're expected to just, white knuckle it through in silence. And that's definitely what MenoMindful aims to change, to really bring this conversation out into the open, right? So women feel prepared, feel seen, and know that help is available.
Absolutely. Knowledge is truly power here. Understanding what's happening in your body and knowing that you're not alone and that your symptoms are real and valid is the first step towards feeling better and navigating this transition with confidence. We want to empower every listener to become an advocate for their own health because you deserve to thrive through this, not just survive.
Oh, absolutely. And we've talked about how it's not just hot flashes, but I think for a lot of people, that's still the first thing that springs to mind. So beyond that, Maya, what are some of the other really common symptoms, and maybe some of the more surprising ones that women often don't connect to perimenopause or menopause? Because I've certainly had a few where I was just like, what is going on?
Oh, Claire, you've hit on such an important point. The hot flash is, yes, the poster child, but it's really just one piece of a very complex puzzle. And it's true, some of the most disruptive symptoms are the ones women often don't even realize are connected. We talked about brain fog earlier, which you so eloquently described as your brain taking a vacation.
Yeah, without packing a suitcase, I might add, or telling me, just gone.
Exactly. And that brain fog, that difficulty concentrating, memory lapses, it's incredibly common. It's not you losing your mind. It's a very real neurological symptom tied to those fluctuating hormones, particularly estrogen, which plays a huge role in brain function. So if you're suddenly misplacing your keys more often or forgetting a word mid-sentence, you are definitely not alone. It's a hallmark for many.
It's so validating to hear that, honestly, because you start to second guess yourself. You think, am I just losing it?
You are absolutely not losing it. And then there's the emotional roller coaster. Mood swings are huge. Women often describe feeling irritable, anxious, depressed, or just unlike themselves. One minute you're fine, the next you're on the verge of tears or snapping at someone, and you're thinking, who is this person? It can feel very destabilizing.
Oh, the irritability. My poor family. I swear sometimes a fly landing on the window could send me over the edge. And I'm usually, fairly chill. It's really surprising when it hits.
It truly is. And it's not just being hormonal in the dismissive way it's often used. These are real neurochemical changes happening in the brain. Estrogen affects neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which regulate mood. So when it's fluctuating, so can your emotional landscape. Beyond those, sleep disturbances are incredibly prevalent. Insomnia, waking up in the middle of the night sweats that drench you. This isn't just about feeling tired. Chronic lack of sleep impacts everything: your mood, your cognitive function, your overall health. Many women are just perpetually exhausted.
The night sweats are a special kind of hell, I've got to say. You wake up feeling like you've just run a marathon in a sauna. It's not conducive to a good night's sleep, that's for sure.
No, it's really not. And then we have things like joint aches and pains, which often get dismissed as just getting older. But many women experience new or worsening joint pain during perimenopause due to hormonal shifts affecting cartilage and collagen, vaginal dryness, urinary changes like increased urgency or UTIs, hair thinning, skin changes.
Oh my gosh, the skin changes? I feel like I'm aging in fast forward sometimes. And the hair too? It's like, where did my luscious locks go?
All very real, all very connected. Changes in libido, too, which can be a sensitive topic, but it's important to acknowledge. Some women find their desire decreases, others find it changes in quality, and for some, it doesn't change much at all. It's just so variable.
That's the thing, isn't it? The variability. Because you hear one friend's story, and it sounds completely different from another's. Is there a reason why some women seem to sail through this, and others are just completely floored by it?
That's an excellent question, Claire, and it really speaks to the complexity of this transition. While the underlying hormonal changes are universal, the experience of perimenopause and menopause is incredibly individual. There are genetic factors at play, certainly. Some women are simply predisposed to having a more challenging time, but also lifestyle factors play a huge role. Chronic stress, poor diet, lack of sleep, sedentary lifestyle, underlying health conditions. These can all exacerbate symptoms. It's like if your body is already under a lot of strain, it's going to have a harder time adapting to these significant hormonal shifts. And then there's also the psychological component. How we view this transition, our mindset, our support system, our cultural background, all of that can influence how we perceive and cope with symptoms. It doesn't make the symptoms less real, of course, but it can affect our resilience.
So it's not just like bad luck if you get a rough ride. There are things that contribute and things we can perhaps influence.
Precisely. And that's really empowering because it means we're not just passive recipients of these changes. We have agency. But the most important thing I want to stress for anyone listening is that if you're experiencing these symptoms, if you're feeling unlike yourself, you are not alone. These symptoms are real, they are valid, and they are not in your head. You shouldn't have to just tough it out or suffer in silence. Understanding that what you're feeling is a shared experience for millions of women can be incredibly validating, and it's the first step towards finding effective strategies to manage them. You deserve to feel well and vibrant through this phase of life.
That's so true, Maya. And that last point you made about these symptoms being real and valid, not just in our heads, it's so incredibly important. But it brings up the next question, I think, for so many of us, which is, okay, so what's actually happening inside our bodies to cause all this? Like, what's the science behind these wild, often unwelcome shifts?
Oh, Claire, you've hit on the crux of it all, haven't you? It really boils down to hormones, primarily estrogen and progesterone. These are the two main players in a woman's reproductive life, and it's their dance, or sometimes their chaotic tango, that drives perimenopause and menopause. So for years, our bodies, specifically our ovaries, have been producing these hormones in a pretty predictable rhythm, right? Estrogen is like the conductor of so many bodily functions beyond just reproduction. It helps regulate our brain function, our mood, our bone density, our heart health, skin elasticity, temperature control. It's really everywhere. And progesterone, well, it's often seen as estrogen's calmer counterpart, helping with sleep, mood stability, and also, of course, plays a role in the menstrual cycle.
So they're like a dynamic duo, usually working together. But then what happens? Do they just go on strike?
Not quite a strike, more like a very, very slow and unpredictable phasing out. During perimenopause, which can last for years before menopause, it's not a steady decline of hormones. That's a common misconception. It's actually a period of wild, erratic fluctuations. Think of it like a dimmer switch that's going up and down, sometimes super high, sometimes super low, before it just eventually switches off. Your ovaries are still trying to work, but they're getting tired. They're becoming less responsive. So they might release a surge of estrogen one day, leading to, say, intense hot flashes or severe anxiety, and then drop dramatically the next, causing brain fog or profound fatigue. It's this instability, this unpredictable up and down, that often causes the most disruptive symptoms in perimenopause.
That makes so much sense because I've definitely had days where I felt almost manic and then the next day just completely drained and foggy. So it's not just less hormones, it's like messy hormones.
Exactly. Messy hormones is a great way to put it. And remember how we talked about brain fog and mood swings? Well, estrogen has a direct impact on neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine in the brain. So when estrogen is fluctuating wildly or dropping low, it directly impacts your mood, your memory, your ability to focus. That's why the brain fog, the anxiety, the irritability are so prominent for many women. It's a direct neurochemical effect. And hot flashes, too, are directly linked to these estrogen fluctuations, affecting the brain's thermostat, the hypothalamus. It gets confused, thinks your body is overheating, and triggers a sweat response to cool you down.
Wow. So it's not just like a random inconvenience, it's actually your brain misfiring because of these hormone levels.
Precisely. And then there's progesterone. In perimenopause, progesterone is often the first hormone to start declining, even before estrogen in some cases. Progesterone has a calming effect. It helps us sleep. So when it starts to dip, that's when you might see insomnia creeping in, or feeling more anxious, or having shorter, heavier periods. It can really throw things off. By the time you reach menopause, which is officially defined as 12 consecutive months without a period, both estrogen and progesterone levels have dropped to consistently low levels. It's at this point that some symptoms might stabilize, though new ones can emerge or others might persist due to the chronic lack of these hormones. For instance, the vaginal dryness or bone density issues tend to become more pronounced in postmenopause.
So the erratic ride is mostly perimenopause, and then once you're officially in menopause, it's more of a steady but low state?
That's generally the pattern, yes. The symptoms in perimenopause are often driven by the fluctuations, whereas in menopause, they're more driven by the deficiency of hormones. It's a subtle but important distinction. Understanding this helps explain why your symptoms might feel so different day to day or month to month during perimenopause, but then perhaps take on a more consistent pattern once you've crossed into menopause. And this is why, for example, things like joint aches and pains, which we talked about earlier, often get worse. Estrogen plays a role in joint health, collagen production, and even the lubrication of joints. When it's gone or low, those aches can become more prominent. Same with skin changes, hair thinning. Estrogen is critical for the health and vitality of those tissues too.
It really connects all the dots, doesn't it? Knowing that it's these specific hormonal shifts impacting specific functions, it helps demystify it a bit. It's not just I'm falling apart. It's my hormones are taking a wild ride, and I need to understand that.
Exactly. And it also explains why managing these symptoms often involves addressing these hormonal imbalances, whether through lifestyle or, for many, through medical intervention. It's about bringing your body back into, well, if not perfect harmony, then at least a more stable and comfortable rhythm.
That's such a perfect segue, Maya, because understanding why things are happening, like the messy hormones, it's empowering. But then the next thought is always, okay, so what can I do about it? And so many women, myself included, are desperate for ways to feel better without immediately jumping to medications, you know?
Absolutely, Claire. And this is where the integrative approach really shines. Well, medical interventions, including hormone therapy, are incredibly valuable and necessary for many women. We often overlook the profound impact of foundational lifestyle changes. Think of it like building a strong house. You need a solid foundation before you start adding the fancy furniture. And for perimenopause and menopause, that foundation is built on nutrition, movement, stress management, and quality sleep. These aren't just like nice to haves. They are potent tools that can significantly alleviate symptoms and improve overall well being.
That makes so much sense. I guess we often look for the quick fix, but it's really about a holistic approach, isn't it? So let's dive into that foundation. Where should we even start? Nutrition, maybe? Because that feels like such a huge one.
Oh, absolutely. Nutrition is a cornerstone. What you eat, or don't eat really, profoundly impacts your hormonal balance, your energy levels, and even your mood. For example, focusing on a whole foods, anti-inflammatory diet can be incredibly beneficial. Think colorful fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, and healthy fats. Things like olive oil, avocados, nuts, seeds. These provide the nutrients your body needs to adapt to these hormonal shifts. And on the flip side, trying to minimize processed foods, refined sugars, excessive caffeine, and alcohol can really make a difference. These can exacerbate hot flashes, disrupt sleep, and worsen mood swings. It's not about being perfect. It's about being mindful. Like, if you know a glass of wine at dinner always leads to a night sweat, maybe try a sparkling water instead.
The wine and night sweats connection is real. I can attest to that. So it's less about a restrictive diet and more about just like smart choices that support your body. Got it. And what about movement? I know exercise is good for everything, but specifically for menopause symptoms?
Yes, movement is critical. And it doesn't have to mean running a marathon, Claire. Even moderate activity can make a huge difference. Regular exercise helps manage weight, which can impact hot flashes. It improves bone density, counteracting the bone loss that can occur with lower estrogen. It's fantastic for mood, releasing endorphins and reducing stress, and it can even help with sleep. I recommend a mix: some cardiovascular activity, like brisk walking or dancing for heart health, strength training, using weights or body weight for muscle mass and bone health, and flexibility and balance work, like yoga or Pilates, for joint mobility and preventing falls. The key is consistency and finding something you enjoy so you're more likely to stick with it. Even 20 to 30 minutes most days can have a profound effect.
I definitely feel better when I'm moving. Even if it's just a long walk, it clears my head too. That brings us to stress, which feels like a constant companion these days. How does stress management fit into all this?
Stress is a huge one, Claire, and it's often overlooked in the menopause conversation. When we're stressed, our bodies produce cortisol, the stress hormone, and chronic high cortisol can actually interfere with sex hormone production and balance. It can worsen hot flashes, increase anxiety, and certainly disrupt sleep. So finding effective stress management techniques is non-negotiable. This could be anything from deep breathing exercises, mindfulness meditation, or journaling, to spending time in nature, connecting with friends, or engaging in a hobby you love. It's about actively carving out time to downshift your nervous system. Even just 5 minutes of focused breathing can make a difference.
That's a good reminder. Sometimes I just need to, stop for a second and just breathe. And then finally, sleep. Oh, glorious, elusive sleep. It feels like such a challenge during this time.
It truly is, and it's a vicious cycle. Hormonal shifts disrupt sleep, and lack of sleep exacerbates other symptoms like brain fog and irritability. So prioritizing sleep hygiene is paramount. This means creating a consistent sleep schedule, even on weekends, making sure your bedroom is dark, cool, and quiet, avoiding screens an hour or two before bed, and maybe winding down with a calming routine like a warm bath or reading. And going back to what we just talked about, regular exercise, mindful eating, and stress management all feed into better sleep. It's all interconnected.
So it's not just tackling each symptom individually, but looking at our entire lifestyle as a system that impacts how we experience this transition. That's what you mean by an integrative approach, right?
Precisely, Claire. It's about recognizing that the body is an interconnected system. My approach blends evidence-based medical knowledge with these mind-body practices because they genuinely work synergistically. While we might address a specific symptom with, say, a targeted supplement or even medication if needed, We're always supporting the body's innate healing capacity through these lifestyle foundations. It's empowering women to take an active role in their own well-being. It's about giving you tools, practical strategies that you can implement every single day to feel better, more balanced, and more resilient, no matter what your hormones are up to on a given day. And honestly, it's amazing to see the transformation in women when they start embracing these changes.
That makes so much sense, Maya. And it's so empowering to know there's so much we can do ourselves with lifestyle changes. But, sometimes despite all our best efforts with the nutrition, the exercise, the sleep, it still feels like it's not quite enough. Or maybe sometimes the symptoms are just so overwhelming. And that's when I think a lot of women start wondering about, well, what else is out there? What about medical help? Like, when do we actually need to see a doctor for this? And what are the options available beyond lifestyle?
That is such a crucial point, Claire. And you're absolutely right. Lifestyle changes are foundational, but they're not always sufficient for everyone. For some women, the symptoms are simply too severe, or their bodies just need more targeted support during this profound transition. This is where medical interventions come into play, and it's so important to know what's available. The first thing that often comes to mind for many, and frankly, the most effective treatment for many menopause symptoms, is hormone replacement therapy, or HRT. Sometimes you'll hear it called menopausal hormone therapy, or MHT. And essentially, it involves replacing the hormones, primarily estrogen and sometimes progesterone, that your body is no longer producing at the same levels.
Okay, HRT, that's a big one, right? I feel like there's so much talk about it and also so much fear or misinformation around it. Can you clear that up for us a bit?
You hit the nail on the head, Claire. There's a lot of baggage around HRT, stemming largely from a misinterpreted study almost 2 decades ago that frankly caused a lot of unnecessary panic and stopped many women from getting effective treatment. The science has advanced significantly since then. What we now understand is that for many women, particularly those experiencing symptoms within 10 years of menopause or before age 60, the benefits of HRT often outweigh the risks. It's incredibly effective for hot flashes and night sweats, vaginal dryness, and can significantly improve sleep, mood, and even brain fog. It's also protective for bone health and can reduce the risk of osteoporosis. The key is that it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. It needs to be individualized, considering your personal health history, symptoms, and preferences. There are different types of estrogen, different ways to take it, patches, gels, pills, sprays, and the decision to include progesterone or not depends on whether you have a uterus or not.
So it's not just one pill for everybody. It's really customized. And if someone is maybe not able to take HRT or prefers not to, are there other medical options that aren't hormonal? Because I know some women have contraindications or just really want to avoid hormones.
Absolutely, Claire. That's a great question. And yes, there are definitely non-hormonal medical options available. For instance, certain antidepressants, specifically some SSRIs and SNRIs, can be very effective in reducing hot flashes and night sweats, even for women who aren't experiencing depression. There are also medications for specific symptoms like low-dose vaginal estrogen for genitourinary symptoms, that's the vaginal dryness, pain during sex, urinary issues, which is often considered safe even for women who can't take systemic HRT because it's locally acting. There are also newer non-hormonal medications specifically approved for hot flashes, which is exciting for women who can't or choose not to use HRT. So it's not just HRT or nothing. There's a growing toolkit of options.
That's really good to know. So if we're doing all the lifestyle stuff and we're still really struggling, when's the right time to actually pick up the phone and make that appointment? At what point do you say, okay, this is beyond what I can manage on my own?
That's actually a very personal question, Claire, but I can give some general guidelines. I'd say it's time to consult a healthcare professional when your symptoms are significantly impacting your quality of life. Are they disrupting your sleep consistently? Are hot flashes making you miserable at work or in social situations? Is brain fog affecting your ability to function? Are mood swings causing distress in your relationships? If your daily life is consistently being undermined by these symptoms, or if you're experiencing symptoms that concern you, such as unusual bleeding or severe mood changes, don't wait. Early intervention can make a huge difference. You deserve to feel good, and there are effective treatments available.
And how do we find a doctor who actually gets it, Maya? Because I hear so many stories of women feeling dismissed or told it's just part of aging or that they just need to deal with it. It feels like such a minefield sometimes.
Oh, Claire, that's a huge issue, and it's heartbreaking to hear. Finding a knowledgeable and empathetic provider is absolutely critical. My first piece of advice is to look for a healthcare provider who specializes in menopause or has a certification in menopausal health. Organizations like the North American Menopause Society, or NAMS, have a Find a Provider tool on their website, which can be incredibly helpful. When you go to your appointment, be prepared. Write down your symptoms, how often they occur, how severe they are, and how they impact your life. Don't be afraid to bring notes. Also list any questions you have. Be clear about what you're hoping to achieve from the visit. And here's the big one: advocate for yourself. If you feel dismissed or if your concerns aren't being taken seriously, it's okay to seek a second opinion. You are the expert on your own body, and you deserve a healthcare team that listens and collaborates with you to find the best solutions. It's not just part of aging if it's impacting your well-being. There are evidence-based ways to feel better.
So prepare, ask questions, and don't be afraid to fire your doctor if they're not listening. That's a powerful message. It really underlines the whole idea of taking control of your health journey.
Yes, exactly, Claire. Don't be afraid to fire your doctor if they're not listening. That's a really good way to put it, because ultimately your well-being, it's paramount, and you truly deserve a provider who sees you, hears you, and collaborates with you on this journey.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, Maya, we have covered so much ground today. I mean, from really understanding what perimenopause and menopause actually are beyond just the hot flashes we all hear about. We talked about those surprising symptoms, the brain fog, the anxiety, the things that can just make you feel like you're losing your mind, right?
Oh yeah, definitely the brain fog. That's a big one that often catches women by surprise. And then, we really dug into the science, explaining those hormonal shifts and how they connect to what you're feeling. And importantly, we talked about those foundational lifestyle changes, the nutrition, the movement, the stress management that are so, so powerful.
So powerful. And then, of course, the medical side of things like HRT, other non-hormonal options, and just how crucial it is to advocate for yourself when you're seeking medical help. It's really about taking control, isn't it? This isn't something that just happens to you.
Precisely, Claire. That's the core message we want to leave our listeners with today. You are not alone in this journey. Your symptoms are real, they're valid, and perhaps most importantly, there are effective strategies and treatments available to help you navigate this transition with greater ease and vitality. This isn't a sentence, it's a profound transformation. And you have the power to influence how it unfolds for you.
And that's so empowering, truly. Because, for so long, so many of us felt like, oh, this is just my lot in life now. But MenoMindful, it's really about changing that narrative, isn't it?
That's absolutely the goal. We want to equip you with the knowledge, the tools, and the confidence to not just survive, but to truly thrive through perimenopause and menopause. It's about feeling informed, supported, and ready to embrace this new chapter with power, your power.
I love that. Embrace your power. So to all our listeners, if this episode resonated with you, and we really hope it did, we encourage you to subscribe to MenoMindful wherever you get your podcasts. That way you won't miss any of our upcoming episodes, where we'll continue to explore more aspects of this incredible journey. And hey, we're building a community here. It's a safe and supportive space to connect with other women, share your experiences, ask questions, and just, feel that sense of belonging. Because nobody should go through this alone.
Exactly, Claire. Community is so important for support and connection. And, we truly value your feedback, your questions, your ideas for future topics. This podcast, it's for you. So please reach out.
That's so true. So thank you, Dr. Maya, for your incredible wisdom and your compassionate guidance today. I, for one, always learn so much. And thank you, our wonderful listeners, for joining us on this empowering journey. Until next time, stay mindful. Okay, Dr. Maya, before we totally sign off, I actually have a little bonus segment for us, a rapid fire round I like to call Meno Myths and Quick Wins. You ready?
Oh, I love it. Yes, I am absolutely ready. Let's do it.
Perfect. First one, true or false? Menopause automatically means the end of your sex life.
False. Absolutely false. Changes in libido, yes, can happen. But with proper support, like addressing vaginal dryness or exploring different approaches to intimacy, sex life can absolutely continue and even flourish. It's not a given that it ends.
Good to know. Okay, next. What's one super quick tip for when you feel a hot flash coming on, like right now?
Oh, deep, slow breathing. Seriously. Try a cooling breath exercise. Breathing in through your nose for a count of 4, holding for 7, and exhaling slowly through your mouth for 8. It really can help to, just calm that immediate surge. And have a fan handy, of course.
Love that. I'm going to try it. Next quick win. My brain feels like mush today. What's a fast way to get a little mental clarity?
Oh, hydration. Seriously, drink a big glass of water. And then a quick walk outside, even just 5 minutes to get some fresh air and movement. It can really help, to just clear the cobwebs.
Oh, I like that. So simple. Last one. Is weight gain just an inevitable part of menopause? No escaping it?
Not inevitable. It's a common experience, yes, due to hormonal shifts and metabolism slowing, but it's not a foregone conclusion. Adjusting your nutrition, focusing on strength training, and managing stress can significantly mitigate weight gain. It requires more conscious effort, but it's definitely not inevitable.
That's so empowering to hear. Dr. Maya, thank you so much for tackling those rapid-fire questions. You're just a wealth of wisdom. This has been, seriously, such an enlightening conversation today.
My pleasure, Claire. I really enjoy these Q&A segments. It's so important to address these points directly.